Wednesday. It is the 6th day in the month of July 2016. And with me in studios this afternoon is someone who needs very little introduction to the studios of Q95, Lucia Stedman of the Business Training Center, one of the premier learning institutions here on the island, has been in operation now for how many years, Lucia? 16 years. 16 years of excellent service training, many people across many areas of different learning areas in Dominica. Lucia, it's great to have you this afternoon, and I know you have something very exciting for our listeners, something coming up for the summer.
Yes, thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here. As usual, the BTC summer program, which we call a boot camp, it's a 5-week program beginning on Monday, July 11th. It runs from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. We do a lot of compact programs, academic programs, from 8 to 1. In between that, we have what is a little break, and we have snacks on sale. So what we encourage parents to do is not hustle, because we try to take away much of the hustle that parents have been through in the last academic year, to just do the job of the parenting during that 5-week period. In the afternoon sessions, we have the children do all kinds of arts programs and different programs that will enlighten them, that will encourage them and motivate them around the academics. We know that you're supposed to do fun and have a lot of fun for this in a child's life. So there are students who are not too bad academically, so we also have what is called advanced computer classes for students who would rather not enter an academic class. Because I say to parents, if your child has obtained a grade 1 and doing very well, what do you want? Do you want the child in a regular teaching environment, or do you want the child to do some form of fun? So we take the students out every Friday. We take them to the hot water spas, we take them to picnic in cabarets, we'll be visiting all kinds of places, we take them to the Bouncing Castle place, the water park, and so on. In the afternoons we do dance, and in the one of these things we do in this year is a lawn tennis tournament that is sponsored by Lawn Tennis Association. In the past we did tennis once every Fridays, but this year we are including it in the curriculum 2 days a week. Every Tuesdays and Thursdays our children will learn to do lawn tennis, and then the final Thursday before the end of the program we have a tournament. I choose tennis because I think it's relaxing to the brain. It's a form of exercise and focus. I would also like to speak about the National Assessment Prep, which is very popular at BTC. We split them up into grades.
Lucia, just before you go into that, what age groups are you targeting for that program?
Our minimum age is ages 3.
It is free, so free to
all the way up to 18, 19.
19, okay.
If you have a son who is 19 and is heading into 5th form, we have what is called the pre-CXE package to do subjects like maths, English, science, and we add advanced computer skills to assist the student in preparing the SBAs properly on the computer. And we try not to put pressure on the teenagers. We don't schedule classes at 8 in the morning for any teenager, because usually they want to sleep, and we allow them to perhaps start their classes at 10 in the morning, so most of them stay up late with their music. There's nothing we can do about the fact that teenagers will be teenagers, so we schedule the classes around their lifestyle and their habits. We have also introduced a new summer CXE package that is for training people for the January upcoming exams in CXE. You can do classes like maths, English, information technology, office administration, and social studies in January. The deadline to pay for that exam is in September. You can start the classes in July and pay $200 monthly per subject. You are working straight towards the curriculum for the January exam, and that class ends in December. So you write the CXE exams in January. So I encourage some students to do 2 subjects, get your feet wet, and things like information technology. There's a paper 3 that is not too much studying. The paper 3 is very easy, so it's easy for somebody to do that, especially adults. I encourage working people to do IT. IT is a subject that will enhance your skills on the job instead of just doing introduction to Microsoft Office. So many people know how to use Microsoft Word, but this is the age that we are living in, where you have to be certified and qualified, because we're talking about CARICOM and integration and all of that. So it has reached a level where we have to become internationally certified because the masses of our people are all trained in computers. I mean, I started in the year 2000 when I used to have a theme, computer literacy for all. I mean, today we have babies doing using computers and tablets. So that's why BTC has had to reduce its age. We've had children 2 and 2 years and a half, because some children are simply bright. You put them in front of the computer and they do certain things on it. I believe a child should learn to read at the age of 2. Many people may not agree with me. People feel that you should play at that age. I don't agree. At the age of 2, you should start to read, because whatever interactive games that you're watching on the computer or on the TV screen, you can use that as a reading tool. One of the very popular programs we have at BTC is the remedial reading. And a lot of children have reading challenges. So we've done very well in this program, where we help children who have the challenge in their regular school. We usually get a reading specialist to assist us in that short space of time. And we help boost the children's reading ability. A lot of parents call because their children don't like to read. So what I ask parents, is the child able to read at the grade level? And that's how you measure children's reading ability. You would like your child to read above the grade level, because if the child can read, this program is not to help them to like to read. To like to read is a job of the parent at home. The lifestyle changes, and a lot of parents think that reading has to do with a child taking a book and sitting in a corner, and parents are okay, you quiet, you're reading. What they don't know, sometimes the children stare at the book. Reading also includes the TV. Reading includes the computer, the tablet. Some parents take away the technology, saying that they want the children to use the paper book. No, this is out the door. If your son likes cars and he don't like reading, get him interested in things about cars on the tablet. If it's YouTube, you screen your areas on the internet. Get him interested in things about cars. If your son likes wrestling, most of the time children who can read and don't like to read, they develop reading abilities better than if a teacher was to teach them in the class, because the vocabulary that is used on the internet, speaking, like for example, you have some of the programs they watch wrestling. Like my son likes wrestling, and there's nothing I can do about it because he loves his wrestling. I just make sure I screen his areas to make sure that there's no profanity. And as I told him, I trust you to make the best choices, because there is trust between us. If you break that trust, then there will be consequences. But what I see coming out of my son, because he's always watching these things, his vocab has improved. He speaks eloquent. Some of the words he used to me, I'm like, where did you hear that word? And I know teacher did not say that. So reading can be improved by encouraging the child to do whatever the child likes to do. Right. Use that as a tool and not impose a book on the child. All right, so I say to parents, the remedial reading, usually we accommodate about 11 children in the class, because reading is a clinical problem. If the child, for example, there are children who are slight dyslexic, you want to be able to spot that. Usually we have great results in that reading class, so that when children finish the program, they are much better for their school. A situation we've had in the past with parents is that they don't continue. You cannot expect to fix a problem that was not done within the last academic year. In the space of 5 weeks. We cannot do magic. What I encourage people to do is keep your child in a program after school and make sure you maintain that child. Parents are coming now with report cards, and they are saying they found out that we are doing programs and they would like us to help the child. I ask parents, why didn't you come at the beginning of the school year? It's just like if you're doing an exercise class, you don't expect to just go to one class and lose all the weight. You have to follow a program. Right. So it's important to enroll your children in programs that will help them with homework assistance, extra classes in the afternoon, because our school days are very short in Dominica, and that will encourage the students to maintain good grades, so that at the end of the academic year, when report cards are out, children will not be with low grades and parents trying to fix all kinds of problems. Okay, so our program, it begins on Monday morning from 8. We try our best to be there on time, so that parents who are going to work can drop the children. pick them up at 4. And we having snacks on sale, so parents don't have to hustle in the morning to cook food. We also have a lunch program that is cheap, perhaps $5, $6, $7 at most. Balanced meal. We try our best not to give them fries, but most of the time the kids want fried chicken and fries. If we don't give it to them, they actually go to Astafan's, the bigger one, to get it.
Yes, certainly. So you have quite a packed program, and all of that is starting when are you planning to start? On Monday morning.
Monday, July 11th to August 12th.
So you're open for registration starting
Parents can actually call 448-0248 to register by phone. There is no registration fee. It's a program where you do all you can. We are advertising it 2 programs for the price of 1, but they get to the more than 2 programs. You choose your major emphasis and you do that between 8 and 1, and in the afternoon they get to do everything and anything that they desire as part of the fun program.
And that runs from Monday until when?
Monday till August 12th.
August 12th, okay. So
every Fridays we are out. We go to different, we go on different trips. This year we've changed our national assessment prep for the grade 5s and grade 6. What we realize is some parents never really get the opportunity to do past papers. The children who are entering grade 5 and grade 6 are already at common entrance, the GSAT exams level. People don't understand that. Now the GSAT curriculum, it begins at grade 1. That's why you have different national assessment exams, I think at the grade 2 level, and there may be one at the grade 4 or the grade 5, I think at the grade 5 level, that the ministry conducts. The topics that children do at grade 5 and 6 is actually common entrance ready. So what we do is a lot of drills. We cannot teach new topics at this stage because the topics are built upon the previous year. For example, when you have a child entering grade 5, you have topics in maths such as LCM and HCF, highest common factor and least common multiple, and so on. These topics have been taught throughout the grades, and when they get to grade 5 and 6, that is when they put a little more emphasis on it because you are getting ready for the exams. What parents don't understand is that for you to be able to do very well at exams, you have to practice. There's a time when the child learn, which is when new topics are taught in the regular school setting. The teacher introduces a topic, but there's no new topic that should be introduced at the grade 5 or grade 6 level. It's a build-up. So we are using a system that is called drills. This year we're going to do a lot of past papers with the students. We are putting grade 5 and 6 together. If the population becomes too much, then we will split them. But we want to do a lot of past paper questions with the children. So what happens is, if a child is doing a past paper in maths at grade 6 level, in the grade 6 class, then we will see if the child does not understand a particular topic, because the past papers it's assumed that you did the topic at that level. So what we're finding out is that some schools, the children may not have had time to cover all the topics for the class that they are leaving. And that is the opportunity we get to teach them that topic. Usually when people finish our grade 5 and 6, when they go to school in September, smooth sailing with the teacher. It means that, Miss, I did that at BTC, because the children did most of the past papers, because I put myself out really to get a lot of past papers from whenever, with the different examples, to make sure the children master the topics, you know. So that's what we're doing differently for the grades 5 and 6. For the grades 3 and 4, it will be a little different. The grades 3 and 4, we are focusing on maths, English, science, and social. We do not want to add anything else like in the past. We will do study skills with them when they get to grade 5, because in grade 5 and 6 you do study skills, past papers, revisions, and drills. The grade 4, 3 to 4, and grade 1 to 2, we focus on the 2 components of maths. Maths has problem solving and mental math. In English, you have what is called comprehension, composition, writing skills. Then there's science and social studies. This year we want to push a lot for science, because a lot of people focus on maths in the school because maths has a bigger part. English has composition, grammar, phonics, spelling, different areas, and the schools have them broken down, so most children can handle that. So we're going to focus heavily on social studies and science to make sure the children are ready for the exams of next year.
Excellent. And all of that, you're saying that people can call 448-0248 to register for the students. And I think that's a great program that the kids, instead of having them stay home and just watch television, it's a great thing, prepare them for the upcoming school year. And also you mentioned just briefly on the preparation for the exams in January. I think that's an excellent program that they should really avail themselves with, to brush up and to practice before the kids and so on.
I always tell parents that in order for children to excel at exams, you have to get the correct tools. I find that some of the children who do better is because their parents are outgoing parents who try to get the correct tools, and there are others who are bright but they are less fortunate. You have to get your hands on curriculum wherever it is, and please ensure that teachers are actually teaching what your children are supposed to know. You do not wait at the end of the year to say that, the child didn't do that topic and whatever. Get yourself involved in your children. Get into the classes with the teachers. Work with the teacher. You as a parent can look at the curriculum to see if your child is picking up on these topics that they're supposed to be knowing, because you don't want after they get to the exam that there are certain major topics that the teacher did not have time to cover. So many times people speak a lot of negative, or teacher didn't do this and whatever. But if you notice that a teacher is not touching a topic that is pertinent to the exam, you need to take charge and find somebody to do it right on time so that your child is not left out.
Okay, excellent. Well, Lucia, we are just about out of time. You did an excellent job in reaching out. We were hoping to take some calls, but I guess the time ran out on us. So when you come back next time, hopefully tomorrow, we'll be able to entertain some calls as well. But let me wish you every success, and also to encourage everyone out there. Parents, please get your students into this program, 448-0248. And also, Lucia, is that the only way that they can register?
They can also go on our Facebook page.
Okay.
You can look for Business Training Center on Facebook, and you can send us messages. We've been doing a lot of marketing on Facebook, and we get a lot of responses from there. Registration, you just call the number if you don't have access to Facebook, and we can register your child over the phone. You can always pay on Monday morning if you don't want to come to the office to do it.
Okay, excellent. Well, Lucia, thank you very much, and thank you for dropping in, and we'll see you tomorrow.
All right, thank you for having me.
Okay, take care. All right, stand by. We are going to be starting our talk in just a little bit.
Weather's up and rough is the road that I trod, rough road I've trodden, so many stumbling blocks, but I must jump on out a hurdle. Rough is the road that I trod, oh yeah, Lord, every day we pray that you guide me round my way.
All right, it's 25 past the hour of 1 o'clock. We want to focus this afternoon as we go into our regular talk session here and Talk on the Block. We want to focus a little bit on the situation in Venezuela. We've been hearing quite a bit about the situation, and it is getting worse by the day. And I wanted to read a little bit from a newspaper article coming from the Washington Post on Venezuela that came out just this morning. And it goes like this. It's very frightening what's going on in Venezuela. The fight for food has begun in Venezuela. On any day in cities across this increasingly desperate nation, crowds form to sack supermarkets, Protesters take to the streets to decry the skyrocketing prices and dwindling supplies of basic goods. The wealthy improvise, some shopping online for food that arrives from Miami. Middle-class families make do with less. Coffee without milk. Sardines instead of beef. 2 daily meals instead of 3. The poor stripping mangoes off the trees and struggling to survive. This is savagery, said Pedro Zaraza, a car oil salesman who watched a mob mass on Friday outside a supermarket where it was eventually dispersed by the army. The authorities are losing their grip. What has been a slow motion crisis in Venezuela seems to be carrying into a new, more dangerous phase. The long economic decline of the country, with the world's largest oil reserves, now shows signs of morphing into a humanitarian emergency, with government mismanagement and low petroleum prices leading to widespread shortages and inflation that could surpass 700% this year. The political stakes are mounting. Exhausted by government-imposed power blackouts, spiraling crime, endless food lines, shortages of medicine, and waves of looting and protest, citizens are mobilizing against their leaders. In recent days, Venezuelans lined up to add their names to a recall petition that aims to bring down the country's president, Nicolas Maduro, and put an end to the socialist-inspired revolution ignited 17 years ago by Hugo Chavez. This can continue, said Angel Rondon, a mechanic who now sometimes eats just once a day. Things have to change. And I could go on and on and on with this article, but I think you get the picture. Things are bad in Venezuela and getting worse. And the obvious question we're asking ourselves is, how did it come to that? Venezuela, a country with the largest level of oil reserves in the world, suddenly in a situation where it cannot feed its people. Now, what happened in Venezuela when the oil prices were really good, over $100 a barrel, $120, $140 a barrel? The government built up substantive reserves. Now, Venezuela was never an agriculture country. But what happened is they basically imported all of their food into Venezuela. So as long as there was money to import the food, there was foreign reserves, because when they sold their oil, they got foreign reserves for that. They would then use those foreign reserves to buy food, import food into the country. But Hugo Chavez did something that was very interesting. As a socialist government, he decided to subsidize food in 2003. So food items were subsidized in Venezuela. But what happened was they would import this food into Venezuela at the subsidized prices, and they would turn around and sell the food across the border into Colombia. So a lot of this food never really saw, the people of Venezuela never really saw the subsidized food prices. But it was not a problem because everybody had money, they were doing well and so on. But what happened was when the crisis began, because firstly for shortage of foreign exchange, because oil prices moved from $140 to around $50, $40 a barrel, suddenly Venezuela began having issues and problems, and that is where we are today, a country that had so much. And Venezuela, we wanted to talk a little bit about it today on Talk on the Block, because Venezuela means a lot to many Dominicans. We've been friends of Venezuela since the 1970s. Venezuela has done a lot for Dominica. We have a very nice and beautiful, if you like, housing scheme close to in Stock Farm. The Bolivar housing scheme there, where a number of middle-class Dominicans now reside. They've also assisted us with the Casa Venezuela since Tropical Storm Erica. And a few years ago, at the height of the oil crisis, when prices were really, really high, Venezuela entered into a special arrangement with Dominica, along with several other countries, with the Petro-Carib arrangement. And with this, under this arrangement, Dominica was supposed to have received prices at reduced, or rather gasoline and diesel at reduced prices. The idea was to keep the price down for the consumer. But an interesting thing happened. Dominicans never really enjoyed these lower prices because the government still sold the gasoline at the same price that obtained on the market. But also, interestingly enough, some of the money, 10% was supposed to have been returned to Venezuela immediately in cash, 10% of whatever was made from the sale of the gasoline, and they converted 40% into debt. We have since learned that all of this debt that was owed to Petrocarib is now completely gone. We no longer owe this debt. Somehow this debt mysteriously disappeared. Over $200 million that Dominica owed Venezuela suddenly disappeared. And I think it's a safe question to ask, where did all of this money go? All of this money is collected under the Petrocarib agreement, where Dominicans paid high prices basically for diesel and for gasoline. They paid high prices for electricity because of the diesel used to run the generators that generate electricity here in Dominica. And now that is taking place in Venezuela, it really breaks your heart when you put on the television, when you go online and you read to see children not having food. You have grown people having to move away from eating 3 meals a day to eating 1 meal. There was also this very dramatic scene that took place this morning where over 500 ladies decided that they were going to go across the border into Colombia. Now, the Venezuelan government has closed the border between Colombia and Venezuela since this crisis started, and they basically went there and begged the soldiers on the Venezuelan side to allow them to go through. The soldiers did not resist. They went into Colombia, and then when they were coming back, they then begged the Colombian soldiers to allow them to go through the border back into Venezuela. They came back singing "Yes, we can," and really been very grateful. People who were interviewed, some of the ladies who were there, said they had to do it because they simply had to get some food to feed their families. And this is a crisis situation, something I think we in Dominica, as friends of Venezuela, certainly really worry and care about. And it's something, as people have rightly pointed out, you could very well see happen here in Dominica. It's not far-fetched. Venezuela, not so long ago, was rolling in oil and lots of money. And something very interesting also happened. We are now hearing that the government for recall of Mr. Maduro, which most likely will happen because all polls are indicating that some 80% of Venezuelans now want to get rid of the government of Maduro because they blame the government, they blame corruption, they blame nepotism, cronyism in Venezuela for the current state of affairs and the fact that all of this money has suddenly gone missing. Monies that should really have been used now to take care of the people of Venezuela have disappeared. So we expecting more unrest in Venezuela, sadly, but it's not a good side at all. It's not a good thing. So I just thought we would bring this up. Certainly, we would welcome your intervention on this to our listeners. If you would like to talk a little bit about what's going on there in Venezuela and the situation as you see it, you can call us here 449-3095, 449-3096, 449-3097, and if you'd like to reach us from overseas, you can do so at 305-432-9624, because we certainly would like to talk a little bit more about that situation there and this very, very bad situation that the people of Venezuela find themselves in, not having food in the country, not enough to eat. And we just reading there about when trucks are carrying food, the drivers get stoned, the drivers get killed. Now food trucks have to be escorted by the police as they go out there. It is really a very bad situation. And for decades, Venezuela was one of the Latin America's most stable and developed democracies, with a middle class accustomed to the benefits of all wealth. Economic crises in the 1980s and 1990s battered many Venezuelan families, but the Chavez era was marked by rising oil prices and declining poverty, leaving few people prepared for the sickening freefall of the past few years. So basically what they're saying is that Venezuelans were not prepared for this. They suddenly woke up and realized that the country was in free fall. that things were really, really desperate and bad in that country. And obviously, you know, we have to ask ourselves a question here in Dominica. And the question that has been making the rounds in social media is whether Dominica can, in fact, be similarly impacted by the Venezuela crisis. And we have someone who wants to weigh in on this question. Good afternoon, caller.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Yes, good afternoon.
I think you have a wonderful program because it's long I wanted to hear a program like this for me to give my opinion on it.
Yes, you're welcome to do so.
What happens, the agreement between Dominica and Venezuela, as far as I'm looking at it, the only advantage I can see is for the Labour Party to use the money for politics. And because you see what happens, when you look at program they even started, like the road in the east, you will find when you analyze it and you work out what the money that has been earned by Dominica, you cannot go around and see what is being used for. And it is very, very serious. And to me, that was the initial part of it. Because no matter what you do, you have 70,000 people and you have businesses. If government didn't have that business, that amount would have been used among the other businesses. And then, therefore, the Treasury would receive the percentage of their profits. And then Dominica, under a good government, you could see progress. But not when a man is telling you from the government part of it that they owe us and we don't owe them. And I mean, they're getting away with this. I think all of them should go to prison right now, if they cannot account for the money, because there should be accounting for that part of the money. Every year you should have you should have a report from the government part of it telling you how much profit is being made, and then when you work it out, you will know how much money that should be there. And that is the way I'm looking at it. This is a very good program, and I think you should get more appropriate questions than mine. But I believe this government, the Caracas government, really helped Dominica to stay in power because they use all that money for politics.
Yes, indeed. Thank you very much, caller. I appreciate your intervention this afternoon. Certainly, you know, the Petro-Carib arrangement in itself was supposed to have helped Dominica. You know, when it was fought off by Mr. Chavez, and I believe he meant well. You know, he certainly meant well for Dominica. But the Labour Party government under Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerrit simply took this in a different direction. Because what happened, for example, Jamaica has a similar program. But Jamaica was able to repay as part, because you were given a choice. You could repay the Venezuelan government either in food or in kind or in cash, food or the type or the kind, right? So what Jamaica did, for example, Jamaica sent teachers, their teachers, instead of the Jamaica government paying those teachers, they sent them over to teach English in Venezuela. They also sent food over as payment to Venezuela. So the monies that they got when they sold the diesel and the gasoline, the monies that they got, they then used it to purchase food locally from their farmers and send this food over to Venezuela as payment. So the farmers benefited, the teachers received, they were paid from the Petro-Carib arrangement, and they went across to teach. It did not affect, monies did not have to come from the Jamaican government. So they saved in that way. Our government never did anything of the kind. They maintained the high prices, oil prices on Dominicans, and they simply kept the money. And the question then becomes, in a situation where you're now owing the Venezuelan, and I don't care what this Mr. Oshry tells us, that they no longer owe the people of Venezuela. They owe the people of Venezuela over $250 million because they took the oil from Venezuela, they sold that oil, and they got the money. So this money is owed to the people of Venezuela, and they certainly need to tell us what happened to it. We have another caller on the line. Good afternoon, caller.
Yes, good afternoon, Mr. Fontaine.
Yes, good afternoon.
you see, regional industry will use that, but regional industry is the one that's supposed to be accounted for all these monies. That is why he can afford to build an apartment every year, 20 years, right? And as soon as this government change, regional industry, I don't think there's no way he'll be able to run, but he'll have to answer question and possibility of jail cell. Thank you.
Yes, absolutely, and as well, we have to understand that the Venezuelan government, when the changes, will begin to ask questions and will begin to demand their monies back. Yes, good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon, Mr. Thank you.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Yeah, as you said in the beginning, that's one sense, and Venezuela never produce any food and so.
Sorry, Venezuela never did what?
Never produce food.
No, Venezuela never really produced food to the extent to feed their own people. Yeah, they imported practically everything.
Let me give you a list of things Venezuela produce in high quantity. Coffee.
Coffee is not food to feed your people. I'm talking about food like food to.
Hold on, Mr. Thompson. Sugar cane, bananas, maize, rice, plantain, oranges, sorghum, cassava, wheat, all these things Venezuela produce, even livestock. But the thing is that, like Dominica, with that Chavismo we have in forward here, Chavez actually concentrated on nationalizing the oil industry and used the proceeds because he ain't got to deal with farmers. This is what we did in Dominica. They use the oil industry and depend only on that, and they kill all other industries in Venezuela.
Well, that's the point I was making. I was saying they focused on oil to the detriment of the production of food, and that's why they have some of the products that they're having now.
Right, and this is what that idiot we have there, that son of Chichi, that is what he did to Dominica. And if Dominica doesn't realize we're in the same predicament as Venezuela, and the sooner we could take out these people by force, we will never know where Dominica's standing is. You see, all these lies that they have in about the so-called economy that doesn't exist in Dominica. Unless we could realize that Dominica will face the same thing, because this guy was depending really on geothermal, So if they get the resource of the geothermal, they would have that money under their control, that they have nothing to answer to us, and be using that just like Venezuela use their petrol, or like that country in the one of those countries that they establish relations with. And that's where they learn those things in Europe that happen. Azerbaijan are one of them, I can't remember exactly. But one of the former Eastern countries. And that is why we need to urgently get these people so we can know where our country is at, know the health of our country. We need to do that now. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much, caller. Indeed, certainly more of your calls. Good afternoon. Talk on the block.
Pumpkin?
Yes, sir.
Bye, doctor.
I'm here. I'm doing good.
That money they build house for women, they buy motor car, all kind of things. They campaign, they go say again. I never call you.
All right. Well, thank you. Thank you very much, caller. And it's a very serious situation. I mean, you're talking about, bear in mind, when Petrocari was fought off by Chavez, it was supposed to give some kind of a break to Dominicans. Dominicans were supposed to have benefited materially from that. We never did. This guy sold the gasoline and the diesel at world market prices, at the same price that as if we never had an arrangement, and simply kept the money. It did not go back to Venezuela. It did not come to Dominica. The question then is, where is the money? And Mr. Ostry, you've been in charge of this petrocarrier for all of these years. The Dominican public are asking you, where is the money? And shouldn't you be thinking, don't you have a conscience? Can you sleep at night to know that you have monies belonging to Venezuela, and the Venezuelan people have no food to eat? They have to resort to, instead of having beef, eat sardines. Some of them can't feed their families 3 meals a day. Instead of 3 meals, they have to eat 1 meal a day. Where your conscience is, and these politicians that have helped to put Venezuela in this situation, because our $250 million is part of the $400 billion that is missing, and the Venezuelan public is asking where this money is. More of the telephone calls. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Mr. Fountain.
Yes, good afternoon.
Good afternoon to your listeners.
Good afternoon to you.
I would like to ask Roosevelt Skerritt a question. I don't know if he's listening or if any one of his colleagues are listening to him, to this program, so they can pass the message to him. When Papa Chavez, he said it was his papa, was alive. Papa Chavez did a lot for Dominica, right? Papa Chavez is dead now. What is he going to do for the people of Venezuela? Because they have helped Dominica with Petrocarib. And as you said earlier on, where is the money he got from Petrocarib? Do something for the people of Venezuela. That's the kind of a man Roosevelt Skerrit is. When you can help him, he's together with you. And when things are bad, he turns his back on you. Roosevelt Skerrit, check the people of Venezuela and do something for them. And good afternoon and bye-bye.
Okay, thank you very much indeed. More of your telephone calls. Good day.
Thompson, good afternoon to you and your listeners.
Yes, good afternoon.
The people of Venezuela need the support of Dominica more than ever. They stood with Dominica over the years and they came to our rescue when we needed assistance. And they tell you when you're in problem, you don't know who are your friends. You know who are your friends when you are in trouble. Mr. Skerrit haven't got a conscience and he haven't got a good heart. If he had a conscience and he had a good heart, he would have come to the rescue of these people. And the minister, Reginald Austri, I mean, you need to give the people of Dominica an explanation. We keep asking questions about that debt at Petrocarib. And for how many years Mr. Skerrit is shuffling his cabinet, but he just cannot remove Reginald Austri from that position. I don't know what it is that Austri have on Skerrit, that Skerrit cannot get rid of Austri as minister responsible for Petrocarib. But, you know, people are dying, people are hungry, people are thirsty, and we have money wasting left, right, and center, and you cannot give those people what is due to them. The Lord shall add iniquity unto iniquity on those people there. These people, they have no conscience, and these people, they are not politicians. They are pocketicians who are there pocketing the resources of the country, but it's just a moment of time and patience. Thank you and good afternoon.
Okay, thank you very much, caller. Let's take some more of your calls. Good day. All right, we lost this caller. We certainly apologize. And several, you know, when Chavez was in power, he put into place several charities and several things where he was subsidizing housing, building homes for people. A lot of what we're seeing happening now in Dominica. We'll talk about this as we go to our next caller. Yes, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
One other concern, what about the petrol gas? The price keep going up, and so the people were told that the price of the gas will never go up, it will never change, and look now it's changing.
It's changing exactly because they never passed on the benefit to the consumer. That's what we're talking about.
That's right, Mr. Hogan.
Yeah. So this Petro-Carib agreement, it was a brilliant idea when conceived, but politicians got in the way, and the Dominican public never got the benefits that they should have gotten from it. And as you say, the prices are going back up. More of your telephone calls. Good afternoon.
Dr. For you.
Yes, good afternoon.
Yes, I hope the international community is really taking stock, because Skerrit and his regime have violated, all the international laws that you can think, and they should be held responsible. They should be accountable for whatever they do. That's a crime against humanity, and somebody should pay for it. And of course, he's not going to help Venezuela because he is feeding to the propaganda that there's nothing wrong going on in Venezuela. If he should provide aid, that would be admitting that there is something wrong. So he's not going to send aid to Venezuela. Are we dreaming of something? I just want Amnesty International, human rights, whatever international agency to get involved and get these people out of Dominica.
Yes, indeed. Thank you very much, caller. More of your telephone calls. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Dr. Thompson. How do you do?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Right, very good. Very informative program. And by the way, as you talking about Petrocarib, it would be nice to ask the Honorable Prime Minister if his wife works at Petrocarib. That's the only nice question I'd like him to answer.
Sorry, can you repeat the question? Go slowly, please.
Yeah, I said, want to get the Prime Minister coming up for an interview. Can you ask him for me, please? Does his wife work at Petrocarib?
Does his wife work at Petrocarib?
That is all. That's
okay.
all I would like him to answer for me.
Okay.
That's right. When he gives me the answer, I will follow up on that.
Okay, very well.
Yeah. Once I get the answer for that, I'll follow. Have a good afternoon.
Okay, thank you very much, caller. Hopefully, we can get to put this question before the minister. Question there from one of our listeners as to whether the wife of the Prime Minister is an employee of Petrocarib, and I'm sure there are reasons why this is a question that need to be answered. Syria has long been a pro-Chavista, convinced that government spending can create a more equal society. Chavez's government, flush with oil money and billions of dollars in foreign loans, gave her the Madras del Barrio subsidy for mothers in extreme poverty. Another program helped residents to finish their homes under construction. Youths from a community received scholarships. I always lived for the revolution, she said. But many of the welfare programs started by Chavez have dried up, and the nearest store has little more than 2-liter bottles of Pepsi and packs of Pall Mall cigarettes. Under Chavez, the government established a network of government-run supermarkets that sold basic foods at subsidized prices. But inflation has put even these bargains out of reach for many people. A single kilogram of yuca, about £2, now cost about 1/3 of the weekly minimum wage. Are you hearing this? In Venezuela, a single kilogram of yuca is something like cassava. I think it's similar to cassava that they eat. It's a staple there in Venezuela. 1 kilogram, roughly 2.2 pounds, costs about 1/3 of the weekly minimum wage in Venezuela. A pound. Syria's neighbors hunt for deer and armadillos for sustenance and batter their meager catch. She lives off what she can grow, yams, tomatoes, corn, or what she can forage. Once a cocoa growing region, the area has been devastated by drought. I'm a Chavista, and damn it, this situation is hard, she said. That is why the revolution is being killed, because we are hungry. It's hard not to feel for the people of Venezuela. Field experiment, more of the telephone calls. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Mr. Thompson.
Yes, good afternoon, sir.
And how are you?
I am doing well, thank you.
How is the family?
Everyone is good.
Well, Mr. Thompson, I just come out on my farm.
Mm-hmm.
And right now I notice there is a dry tree before you go down where we have a church going down to the power station, and that tree dry and branch start to break from that tree. I'm calling on those that in authority, please, I wouldn't want our people much as this boasting about the tourists so much to our transport passing you driving and going down that hill. And when you do take stop for a branch to come break on that transport. So I'm calling both. You going to the freshwater lake, there is a tree that dry, I don't know. They're so busy, they don't pay attention and they're saying hurricane. But I'm telling them now, I myself, telling them if anything, they have the responsibility, because I tell them, going up to the freshwater lake, when you're going down to the village, there's a tree. When you're going to the power station, there's a next tree, and I notice some branch start to break if the wind now.
Okay, thank you very much for this, Mr. Maglaw.
All right.
All right, thanks.
Afternoon.
Yes, thanks a lot.
Bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye. Coming back to Venezuela, about 87% of Venezuelans, 87% of Venezuelans now say they don't have enough money to buy food. And that's according to a recent study by the Simon Bolivar University, the major university there in Venezuela, conducting a study claiming that 87% of the people say they simply don't have enough money to buy food. And part of the problem is that you now have a situation of what we call runaway inflation in Venezuela. Prices have risen by 700% in just the past few days. By 700%. What this means, in layman terms, is an item which cost $1 last week is now worth $7 this week. An item worth $100 last week is now worth $700 this week. So do the math. It's extremely difficult with prices rising at that rate. It means that your little whatever you had to spend on food certainly is not enough. And that's the situation in a country that had so much, but the country has been looted, the country has been pilfered. The country has been dealt unfairly by governments like ours that took the oil from Venezuela, sold the oil, and kept the money from Venezuela. And I think it's something that we as a people need to examine our consciences about. And the people in charge of Petrocarib who tell us that they no longer owe the Venezuelan people, they need to let us know why they no longer owe the Venezuelan people, because they never made the payments on those oil purchases to Venezuela. And these are questions that needs to be answered. Good afternoon. Welcome to Talk on the Block.
Good afternoon, Thompson.
Yes, sir.
Last night, Reginald was on your back. You smell a rat too.
He was on my back. I have a very broad one. He can huff and puff, and as I always tell Mr. Austri, I speak the truth, and the facts are there. The fact of the matter is, and he simply needs to tell us, instead of talking about me, what Mr. Austri needs to tell the Dominican public, where has the Petrocarib monies gone? He claims that we no longer owe Venezuela. The fact of the matter is we have not repaid Venezuela. So where is the money? He needs to answer that before he starts criticizing me. Don't you agree? All right, we seem to have lost this caller. Let's take more of your calls. Good afternoon.
Yes, good afternoon, Thompson.
Yes.
It's me again. When the leader of the opposition, Honorable Lennox Clinton, came out and he asked Dominica he called on the government of Dominica to make some money available to the people of Venezuela. The ambassador right here came out and said they do not need any assistance. So right now it's kind of embarrassing to the government to send assistance to the people of Venezuela, because the ambassador said nothing has happened to Venezuela. That was on Martin News. I saw it myself.
Yes, and that is a part of the pattern that we've seen from the Venezuelan government, denying that all of this is happening. They're blaming everybody but themselves. They're blaming foreign governments. They're blaming the imperialists. They're saying that these are all lies. But the fact of the matter is the people of Venezuela are suffering.
So I presume the ambassador has embarrassed the government, so the government itself is more embarrassed now by the ambassador. Is on that basis perhaps they have not sent anything to the people of Venezuela. But I am concerned about Dominicans who are studying in Venezuela, because we have Dominicans there.
Yes, we do. In fact, those the St. Lucians studying in Venezuela, they have all returned to St. Lucia.
And we have to be concerned. We have to be concerned whether we have children there or not. The people of Venezuela, they are human beings.
It would be interesting to hear. It would be interesting to hear from families of students in Venezuela what their students are, what their children are going through in Venezuela.
Thank you very much, and God bless.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much. Good afternoon. More of the telephone calls. Yes. Good afternoon. You're on the block.
One question I have: where has the DAS money gone?
Okay, we continue here. More of your telephone calls as we continue here. Idiots will continue to be idiots, and but the fact of the matter is we are discussing a situation there that is really of much concern to the people of Dominica, and we continue to call on Mr. Reginald Austri to really tell us, the Dominican public, they faithfully paid the high prices for diesel and gasoline. They paid the very high prices. At one point, we had the gas selling at $16, $17 a gallon. Where is this money? Good afternoon.
Yes, good afternoon. This is a question for Mr. Scary. What is he doing for our children in Venezuela? The parents need to come out and Dominicans need to come out. We need to know what's happening to our people. This is for Mr. Scary.
Thank you very much, caller. Let's take more of the telephone calls. Good afternoon.
I met a Venezuelan and they tell me that Venezuela is in a very bad position in Venezuela. And I told him that Venezuela was giving Dominica so much money, and they said that this is a disgrace for Venezuela to giving people money and they have problems like that.
That's right.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much indeed. The situation is real. It is present. It is grave in Venezuela. And we are out of time on this discussion. We'll be back tomorrow at the same time with another topic of discussion. And certainly we would welcome all of you. Sorry, we can't take more of your calls. We were completely out of time. See you tomorrow. Have a good afternoon. Bye-bye.